Hi all, I'm coming to you from outside because it is so nice outside. Today's stuff is called Empirical Formula. Empirical Formula is, here, fancy definition. It is the lowest whole number mole ratio of elements in a compound. That is like crack open a chemistry textbook. That's what it is. Examples, lowest whole number H2O, CH2, CH2O. Like, those are all empirical formulas because you can't reduce them anymore, and that's like the important part. There's two ways to calculate empirical formula, two ways, but the steps are the exact same thing in each. Literally the only difference is the very first step, and that is when you have percent composition. So like this one, it starts with 72.2% Mg and 27.8% N. That's supposed to be a little g, but I didn't change the font. Anyway, so what you do, you just change the, like, percent is out of 100, right? So, there's a motorcycle, so I'm sure you heard that. If you imagine you have 100 grams of everything, like total, that just means the percent changes to grams. So there's no math or anything. You just change the percent to a gram sign. So meaning your starting numbers. Empirical formula is mole ratio, so you start with grams. These will be your starting numbers. You just change the percent to grams. 72.2 grams, 27.8 grams. So really, kind of step one isn't a real thing. Step two is it's the mole ratio, so you have to determine the number of moles of each element. Determine mole ratio, you have to convert grams to moles. So you got our two starting numbers, 2 grams of Mg. Grams to moles is divided by molar mass. It's not like you have to know that, but molar mass goes like this. Grams cancel diagonally, 1 mole on top. That's 2.97. My recommendation when you do these is to do 2 or 3 decimal places. The starting number for N was 27.8. Same steps. Nitrogen's 14.0. 1. Use the little periodic table, it's fine. By 2 decimal places. And then, so when you divide that, you get 1.98. So the first step is to divide by molar mass, and it's just going to be of elements. So it's not like you have to add anything up. It's just you divide by the molar mass of that element. And then, so it's the whole is, yes, those numbers look, they're just the moles of each element. It's not the mole ratio. So this, cut the screen off. It should say divide each answer by the smallest number of moles. So you have your 2 mole answers, so you divide everything by the smallest number, which is 1.98, because it's a mole ratio. Like, it's the mole ratio. Go. Of course it's not clicking. It's mole ratio. So you have to divide by the smallest number of moles. So you divide them both by 1.98 because that's the smallest number. 2.97 divided by 1.98 is 1.5. 1.98 divided, well, that's 1. So lots of times you get to stop there, but you get a decimal, 1.5. That does not round to 2. Keep it as 1.5. If there's a decimal in this ratio, then you have to make those numbers into whole numbers. And you have to multiply both of them by the same whole number. 1.5 is 1/2. So you divide both numbers, or you multiply both numbers by 2. So 1.5 times 2 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. And the very last step then is those numbers then are the subscripts in your formula. So Mg gets a 3, N gets a 2, and go ahead and just list them in that order. Mg3, N2. That's our empirical formula. And we did it by doing the mole ratio. The ratio of moles. You divide by moles. I have a cheesy little rhyme to memorize the steps. So it is, ready, percent to mass, mass to mole, divide by smallest, and then multiply till whole. But really, because the percent to mass, there's no actual calculating, you just change the percent side. That doesn't really need to be there. So really the rhyme should be mass to mole, divide by smallest, multiply till whole. So I'm going to use that cheesy little rhyme for this one last example. So here's again, steps are the exact same. So what is the empirical formula of a compound with 29.0 grams of silver and 4.3 grams of sulfur? So mass to mole. Mass to mole, that's the first step. So mass to mole is you have two starting numbers. Don't forget that, two starting numbers. You divide by the molar mass. 1.086, 1 mole, that's 0.268. Again, 3 decimal places, because 3 decimal places is going to be a better mole ratio, like when you divide by, 4.3 grams of sulfur is 32 and 1. Again, look, they're diagonal, so it's that you divide. If the numbers, you ignore the 1. That's 1.34. So that's mass to mole. And then divide by smallest. So divide by 1.34, and that's 2. 1.34 is 1, and then the last step would be multiply till whole. But this is a nice example. You don't have to do any extra multiplying because you got a whole number. So formula, so multiply till whole, and then really the last step should say the formula, but so 2 AGs, 1 S, and you don't write the 1, remember, so it's AG2S. Hopefully that's not too fast. I'm hoping you can go back and watch these. I'm going to put the slides in as like a slideshow with all the answers and stuff. So watch the video, but then the slides will be in there with the answers. So good luck, guys.